Now, EU leaders have agreed to renew sanctions against Russia for another 6 months. The punitive measures include the freezing of more than 200 million euros in Russian central bank assets.
This will remain in force until at least early 2026. The announcement comes as policymakers gathered in Brussels, days after NATO members promised to ramp up defense spending. The war in Ukraine and tensions in the Middle East are in focus at both the NATO and EU summits this week. William Denselow tells us more.
23 of the European Union's 27 leaders were in The Hague this week for a NATO summit where NATO allies agreed to ramp up defence spending from the current benchmark of 2% to 5% going forward. This summit here in Brussels, an opportunity for the EU to put its money where its mouth is when it comes to collective defence and security, as well as ramping up defence production going forward. In a joint communiqué, European Union leaders said they need to continue to substantially increase expenditure on defence and security and invest better together, scale up production, as well as to become more autonomous going forward. The EU says that they will provide a review on progress come October. They also said that they will designate a roadmap to the European Commission, as well as the EU's top diplomat, Kaja Kallas.
We need to get our house in order and do our homework. Very happy to see that we will manage to start trialogues on defence procurement already next week under the Polish presidency, and we hope to finalise the defence omnibus by the end of the year.
Geopolitics are very much dominating sentiment at this summit. There was plenty of focus on the war in Ukraine, what more Europe can do to support Ukraine going forward. That despite comments from Hungary's Prime Minister Viktor Orban saying that he did not currently support Ukraine's accession bid to join the EU. There were also divisions on display when it came to tensions in the Middle East, of course carrying on from that NATO summit. Plenty of discussion on what role European leaders can do when it comes to finding a lasting diplomatic solution to the conflict between Israel and Iran. There was also tension and division on the subject of Israel and its military activities in Gaza.
The people of Europe find it incomprehensible that Europe does not seem to be in a position to pressure on Israel and leverage on Israel to stop this war in Gaza, to stop the continuing slaughter of children and innocent civilians.
And a huge issue also on the agenda was the trade tensions with Washington, with that July 9th deadline fast approaching, and that threat that Washington could raise base tariffs on EU goods being sent to the US being raising from 10% to 50% unless a deal is reached. There is some jitters amongst certain EU leaders when it comes to the pace of these negotiations and whether it's better to have a quick deal rather than a more comprehensive agreement with the US. As far as the Commission is concerned, they say that negotiations with US counterparts are ongoing. They say they're intensifying too, in the hopes that a win-win trade agreement can be reached before that July 9th deadline. William Denselow, CNA, Brussels.